Hey guys, it is Carly bringing you day number 3 of my first ever 31 days of horror. I'd like to apologize first for my sickly appearance. I have been horribly ill for the past couple of days, but I figured the show must go on, and I watched this movie last night, and I felt too sick to do a recording last night, so I skipped it. But I felt a little better today, so I figured I might as well get it done now before I forget about things to talk about, even though I've seen this movie multiple times. But anyways, today I'm going to be doing Halloween Part 2, moving along with the Halloween franchise. So yeah, Halloween 2, once again, this is a movie, what can you really say about it? It's another classic. I've always been a big fan of this one. This is one they didn't really show on TV too much growing up. I remember they would always show like part 4, 5, and 1 and like H2O or something random like that. So I would always be excited when I would see this one because it seemed like I didn't get to watch it all that often. But anyway, basically, the plot of this one is it takes place the same night as the first one, although it came out about 3 or 4 years after the first one. It's supposed to be the same night, still Halloween night, and Laurie's been taken to the hospital after the traumatic night she has had, and Michael Myers is still out running around. He got away after being shot at, so no one really knows where he's at, but Laurie has a fear that he is still after her. And yeah, that's basically your plot. Takes place mainly in the hospital, and yeah, what can I really say? This has always been like one of my favorite sequels as far as franchises go. I like how it takes place on the same night. And this one, I like the opening credit sequence a little better in this one because I always found it to be creepy how it's like you see a jack-o'-lantern, then it turns into like a skull. And the music score is really amped up in this one compared to the first one. I think it's a little scarier and more like in your face, kind of got like loud moments and whatnot in it that I really appreciate. I think it's pretty cool. And I also feel like this one feels more slasher-esque than the first one does. Of course, the first one's known for kind of bringing slasher films to life and such, but I feel like I've always felt like this one's been more slasher-ish. It's got way more kills in it, and I feel like the kills are actually pretty like inventive and solid. And I mean, like, you got the one girl being burnt to death by the hot tub, you got one girl bleeding to death from an IV tube, and you got like just all these kind of like brutal ways of killing people that like I never really thought about when I was younger, but now that I look at it, it's kind of like cringy and like gross and like just kind of out of the box. So I really appreciate that about it. Michael Myers is pretty scary in this one, like the first one. I think his mask, it's a little bit different in this one than the first one, and I think it's actually kind of better. I like how you can kind of see his eyes, just like the whites of his eyes, though it's not too much or too little, and I think that adds more scariness to him. So I do like that about him. And I gotta say, like, watching this one, I tried to like think about being in that time period and like not having any other sequels come after this one, because originally there weren't supposed to be any more Michael Myers sequels after this one, and I think this would have been a great like 2-movie, just one movie and its sequel and done. Like, it would have been great just like that all by itself. Not to say I don't like the other movies in the franchise, because I grew up watching them. It's one of my favorite franchises, so I can't hate on them. But if you were to just take the first 2 movies and end it like that with Loomis kind of dying with Michael and the explosion, and like both of them ending it together, and then Laurie getting away, like, I think that would have been a great ending. So it's kind of too bad that John Carpenter didn't get to go along with his original idea of making the Halloween franchise a bunch of different movies, but what can you do? So yeah, only minor problems with this one, really. one thing I always hated was the dude that was kind of flirting with Lori. I always forget his name. The one, like, he's like the EMT driver or whatever. Him like slipping in the blood, and you're supposed to believe that like killed him, kind of. But then like there's an alternative ending where it did not. So I mean, I don't know. I just always kind of thought it was stupid. But other than that, I really don't have too many problems with this movie. I feel like it's kind of a little bit more of an upgrade from the first one, like more solid, better made film. I also like, it takes place in a hospital. You might think that's kind of boring, but like I like how it still feels like Halloween, and you still get scenes outside of the hospital of Michael kind of walking around town and like Loomis trying to find out where he is and things like that. So I always like that about it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say about this movie. I mean, like I said, what can you really say about it? It's a classic film, much like the first one. I give this one a 9 out of 10. So yeah, thank you guys once again for joining me for day number 3. Once again, I am sorry if this review was kind of shaky because I am still kind of sick and like foggy minded, but hopefully I'll feel better for the next one. So see you guys for part number 4.